Hi everybody, it's Pam here from Flaunt It Fitness UK, and I just wanted to share with you a little video that I've put together on things to expect week to week after you've had baby. So in week one, there's so many physical and emotional changes going on in the body that this kind of manifests itself in ourselves. So it's quite normal to feel a lot of the things that I'm going to chat about. Physically, you will have some bleeding. That is completely normal, and it should be a little bit heavier to start, and then it should start to tailor off by the end of 2 weeks. And if it doesn't, then I would definitely speak to your midwife or your health visitor about that. The vaginally, you may feel a little bit tender, you may feel itchy. Quite often it's handy to have just like a sort of jug of lukewarm water, so when you are urinating you can just pour that down, and it can help dilute the urine, because that could cause a little bit more stinginess as well. So pouring that down as you pee is quite useful, particularly if you do have tears or you've had a episiotomy. It can be helpful for that. Okay, for your C-section scar, we want to make sure that our clothes, like our trousers or your pants or your underwear, aren't sitting on the scar, so that it's going to rub against it. We don't want it to be uncomfortable, and it can be quite tender around that area. It can be quite difficult to move, getting yourself up and out of a chair or out of bed. Always using the roll over onto the side technique, pushing yourself up and exhaling as you do so will be helpful as well. Having somebody to help you in and out of a seat, trying to sit on a higher chair rather than lounging back on the couch, because we want that scar tissue to be able to heal pretty well. And if we're maybe using the abdominal muscles too much, then it can affect the healing of that as well. With your C-section scar, you may want to wear like an abdominal tuba grip. You can buy specific belly bands as such, and that can just help to keep the area quite warm. It can aid recovery as well, but I wouldn't use that long term or use it constantly through the time. If you have a wee look on Amazon or whatever for an abdominal tuba grip, then that can be quite helpful. With C-section on that first week, try to just be walking lightly around the house. You don't have to go venture far. You can maybe go walk to the end of your street or whatever as well. We don't want to be forcing anything upon ourselves, because we do need extra recovery when we've had abdominal surgery as well. The other thing you might find in that first week is uterine contractions. So you'll feel that you're having contractions in the abdomen or down at the uterus, and that's completely normal, and that helps the uterus come back down to its normal size again, because obviously baby's grown in there, so it has expanded. This can go on for a week or so. It might go a little bit longer. If you're concerned, then speak to your midwife or your health visitor about it. And apparently, the more children you have, then the more severe these get. So I think maybe the uterus just has to work that a little bit harder to come back down again. So I know I felt that after having first, second and third, that definitely with Nathan, I felt that they were much more painful, much more severe. Emotionally, what is going on? You are up and down, you're on your sky high, and then you're maybe feeling anxious, and then you start to worry a little bit, and that's where the worry really begins as a parent, and it doesn't leave you. So to feel all these flux of emotions is really, really normal. So we can feel quite overwhelmed if you're trying to think about routine. That isn't going to come for a while, so try not to get too bogged down in that. You might feel really happy at times, and then you feel sad, and then you feel quite anxious and maybe worried about things as well, and that is completely normal. That really comes into play as well when your milk starts to come through for breastfeeding. That's something else as well. So if you are breastfeeding in that first week, it could be painful. Baby might just not be latching properly. Please get help with that. Because that can be really, really, having help in those early days is really vital. And spending time with baby as well, which I'll come to in a second. Spending lots of time with baby is really important too. So yeah, thinking about when you're breastfeeding, when your milk is coming in, boobs are really, really sore. Nobody wants to hug, or you don't want anybody to hug you or touch you. Make sure you've got your supportive bras on. If you've been measured for your breastfeeding bras from the bra lady, Jo, if you need that contact, let me know, because there is really, really important to make sure you've got that good support as well. With you in that first week, you may have your first bowel movement. Well, hopefully you'll have your first bowel movement, and that can be a little bit daunting, particularly if you have had any tears or episiotomy or anything like that. I would just say try to be as relaxed as possible. Drink plenty of water, eat lots of fresh fruit and veg so that you're having a high fibre diet. And when you are at the stage of going to the toilet, raise your feet up onto like a little toddler step, because that can just help make the movement a little bit easier so you're not having to push as well. The last thing I wanted to talk about was visitors. So you will have people coming and wanting to see you, see baby, which is great, but try to keep that time for you and baby together so that you're resting, you and baby are getting to know each other, because you don't know each other yet, particularly if you are breastfeeding. You need that time. If people are visiting and you're needing to go and feed, just say, excuse me, I need to go and feed baby, because when I first started, I could not master discretion whatsoever. So I always just left the room and went away to feed, and even coming back in when baby is on, then that's fine to do that. People will understand. And if you do find it's too much, just tell people no. If they're bringing you foods, and if they're making their own cups of tea, and if they're tidying your house for you, then bring them on, definitely. All right, I hope that's helpful and gives you an insight in what to maybe expect for your first week after baby arrives.